Greetings, lovely people, and welcome to another reaction video, unfortunately. So, for those who don't know, Kalvin Garrah is a transgender YouTuber who talks about various topics, some political, some about the transgender community, and some more just general life stuff. That's really all the context you actually need. He's been in a lot of controversies, and at the end of the day, the controversies speak louder than the positives, but he has made a video where he's going to talk about all the things he's done wrong, apologise to some extent, and on top of that, he's going to basically end his career. In a literal sense, he's finishing YouTube, he's stopping YouTube, and yeah, this is my live response, live reaction, and just overall thoughts. So, I have face cam for this video, I hope you enjoy it. I don't really get on camera that often, so yeah, I hope you enjoy.
What's up, you guys? Kalvin here, and welcome back to my channel where, as a lot of you might know, I posted about a week ago or so that I'm going to be taking a step back from YouTube for the foreseeable future. There's a lot of
And frankly, good riddance.
reasons for this, and I'm going to get into that in this video, but I also wanted to at least have a final statement, final words for the time being on my channel. I didn't just want to leave
For the time being. So he's coming back at some point. Oh lordy.
it
Oh lordy.
open space, right? Because I feel like there are a lot of things that people are saying about me right now. There's so many videos being made about me by people that I've reacted to in the past, even by people that I've literally never talked to in my life. So
That is the price you pay for being online. People are going to, especially when you're as controversial as Kalvin is, you are going to have people that talk about you. It's just par for the course. It's whatever.
So I wanted to come on here and set the record straight and just kind of discuss that stuff, because I think it would be disingenuous for me to...
It's disingenuous, not disingenuine. That's... Oh, Kalvin, you were never the brightest bulb in the box.
just kind of sit back and pretend that none of that is being said, right? A lot of people were coming for me or criticizing me that I didn't make this video sooner, or that I didn't say anything sooner, right? And I just want to make a
I feel like more people are criticizing you about the things you actually done rather than the things that you haven't done. So I mean, go off Queen, I guess, or go off King. Sorry, that wasn't meant to be a jab. That was literally just
disclaimer. There was a very specific reason for that, and that's because something I've noticed, especially with the culture of YouTube nowadays, is that when people get into controversy, their immediate reaction, right, is to make a video defending themselves.
And usually it works. It's the people that take forever that normally get in the most trouble after they've apologized. So yeah, Calvin, you've done a great job there.
I've just seen a lot of stuff going around, even things relating me or trying to say I'm the trans Onision.
Oh, that's amazing. That's an amazing comparison to make. But it's completely accurate. I agree with Calvin. That's not a fair comparison, but that is phenomenal. Oh my god, I wish I'd thought of that. That's amazing.
And so, while I can concede literally any day of the week, and that's why I'm making this video, that there are a lot of valid things people are saying and criticizing me for. I'm gonna apologize for things that I definitely think warrant an apology. I didn't want to make a video right off the bat because, number one, I didn't want to be accused of only apologizing for views, or only apologizing for retribution, or only apologizing because I had to.
I mean, you're literally making this video so that people will look at you in a better light. You may be leaving, but I mean, you're still linking your Patreon in the description. So, you're clearly still wanting to gain from this. You're not doing this for the sake of it. You're not doing it for no reason. You're doing it because you legitimately think that it'll help your image in the future. When you come back, or when you return, or when you become a Twitch streamer, I don't know. But, that's legitimately why you're doing this. So I don't get why you... It's a weird thing to do.
because I don't feel obligated ever. That's just me as a person. I've never felt obligated to apologize for something if I didn't actually feel sorry for it. And I just
Oh, okay. So you're, so you lack like the means to just apologize for things you've done wrong, because you don't think you've done anything right. Okay, that's what we're playing with. That's
feel
fine.
like people that do that are very weak-minded. I don't want people to think I'm apologizing basically just to save face or to make myself look good, because like I said, I'm quitting YouTube for the time being.
It's for the time being bit that's getting me, because that basically says to me, "Oh, I'm coming back. Don't you worry." So he is doing this so that his image is better. He's apologizing for things that he's done so that when he comes back in, a few months, a year, 2 years, whatever, people will accept him back because they'll be like, "Oh yeah, well he apologized for all that stuff. It's all in the past now." It's a genius play because he's making plenty of money. He's not like going to like starve to death by not doing YouTube or anything. That's the only reason he's willing to do this. He would, like, if he wasn't already set for life, he would not be leaving right now, because there's so much stuff that he can be talking about. His content is based around the kind of discourse that is happening constantly right now. It's not for any other reason that he wants to just be a bit more accepted within the community. That's the only reason. I'm not talking about the LGBT community in that sense. I'm talking about the YouTube community, because he's hated here. He is hated in the LGBT community, but like, that's beside the point. That's not what I'm trying to get at. He's trying to paint his image better, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
I have literally nothing to gain, nothing to lose from saying this. I have been sitting on it for a week or two, and I thought that the right thing to do is to talk about it publicly. So a lot of people know the main person that kind of started this like wave of people talking about me and previous videos I've made is a YouTuber named Brennan, and I reacted to him probably like 2 to 3 years ago, back in like 2018. It was me reacting to them after they were on MTV, which I'm going to talk more about, but
so this whole like controversy that's being referred to, this is back when I used to actually watch Kalvin myself. I haven't watched Kalvin in a long time, but 2.5 years ago is when I like kind of stopped. And it was stuff like this that really got me to stop. So I'm very interested in what he's actually going to say to apologize, I suppose.
That's kind of what started this big spiral, and I'm sure a lot of people already know that. But if you don't know, they made a video talking about like my experience with Kalvin Garrah, something like that. Disclaimer number 2, I have not watched every video out there made about me, right? Like I watched Brendan.
Oh, I think you have, Kalvin. Because you're the kind of self-centered type of person that is just going to watch anything that has their name in it. So, yeah, I very much doubt you haven't seen the vast majority of the content that's been made about you. If you haven't, that's a surprise to me, because that completely goes against your character. Like, the character you've presented, at least. So, yeah, I'm going to call bullshit on that one.
Video all the way through, but a lot of the other videos that people have made, specifically from people that I've never talked to, that were just kind of making a video because it's a popular topic, I didn't watch those, because at the end of the day, I'm not gonna put myself through watching an hour-long video about how terrible I am. Like
I think that what he's saying he actually does goes against the character he has shown us, because the amount of responses that he's made in the past to people talking about him, it says a lot, it says a lot.
I'm just not going to do that. I don't need people on the internet to tell me whether or not I'm a good person. If I was just like an awful...
So why are you making this video? Why are you apologizing if you don't care? It's a fallacy. You've created a fallacy.
Awful person, right? Not to say I haven't done bad things. Not to say that I haven't done things that are criticizable, if that's a word. I don't know. If I was really just this like...
Worthy of criticism is the term you're looking for. That's not a criticism towards you. That's just answering a question of what on earth you were trying to say.
Awful person. All the people I've dated, which people love to like point out, oh, I've had all these girlfriends, stuff like that. But if you're one of those people in that camp of bringing that up all the time, and people that I've been friends with, even people that I'm not friends with anymore, right? Don't you think that those people would have come out and said, yeah, Kalvin's an awful person, you're all right, like
I think that's a fair thing. It's not valuable in these sorts of conversations to bring up people's partners and friends when those partners and friends, or ex-partners should I say, have not said anything like that builds up on your point. Like, if you're going around being like, oh, they've dated such and such and their life went bad, but it's like, if that person has not said that it was the person you're complaining about's fault, just leave people's, like, personal lives out of it. And I know with e-celebs and YouTubers and, you know, all these kind of stuff, it can get a bit difficult to, like, find that line between private and public. But basically, if it's not something that's currently going on, like, if it's not something that's in the now, in terms of, like, what you would consider private life, so things like relationships and friendships, whatever, yeah, just don't, like, bring them up unless they are very integral to whatever you're on about, whatever you're discussing. I think that's a valid thing. Don't attack people, or attack people's partners, or ex-partners, or whatever else, for no reason. There are reasons to. And sometimes, like, Onision, which was mentioned earlier, there are reasons to bring up his ex-partners, and his current partner, and various other people that he's associated with. It's important to bring up certain people in order to tell the full story. It's not necessarily always the case. There are people that Onision, for example, has dated or been friends with that aren't needed to be brought up in the conversation just because they are not involved in the story that needs to be told. I hope that made that clear.
Kalvin is a bad person. Nobody's ever done that. The people that have been closest to me in my life, nobody would ever do that. And that's because I just know at the end of the day, when it comes to the real world and not the internet world, I'm just not a bad person.
Usually, you shouldn't have to say, in real life, I'm not a bad person. Because that reads, in my book, that reads as, I am a terrible person, but I hide it better in real life. I let myself go online. Which is a terrible way of doing it. Because I'll admit, like, in real life, I do hold myself back sometimes in terms of arguments and stuff. Because sometimes I just don't want to. Like, I don't want to do the full, like, response. But I will simultaneously, like, I will perfectly admit that I'm a bit of a bitch. I'm, you know, a bit of an annoying person to be around in real life. I'm not always like that, but I can be. So it's like, it's valid to compare online and real life, because usually, yeah, you may not necessarily act like that in real life, but that is still you. The IRL you and the online you, unless you're playing a character, which Kalvin isn't, I'm not, so this is a perfectly valid argument. Unless you're playing a character, it is still you. You just might hide part of yourself in real life to be a bit more acceptable, to be a bit more likable. I definitely do, and I'm sure it's the same for Kalvin.
It doesn't mean that the criticisms people have of me aren't valid. The reason I'm only bringing all this up about people are different on the internet than they are in real life, and it's not so much that I'm a hugely different person online.
That's the point I'm saying. You're not going to be that different. You sanitize yourself slightly for IRL, or you sanitize yourself slightly for online. It's very rare that it's a clear cut. I swear way more online than I do in person. Like, if you just had a conversation with me in real life, I probably wouldn't swear, like, at all during that conversation. But online, whether that be in tweets or in videos or whatever, I swear a reasonable amount. It's a character thing. You are portraying a different person online. You're portraying either who you want to be, or you're portraying your true self. But it's never far off. It's always similar, and often, if you're playing a less sanitized person online, it's usually the less sanitized version of yourself normally, of your IRL self. You're still the same person. You might just be a bit more open about talking about certain topics online compared to IRL or vice versa. I might be looking too far into that, but, like, that's just how I'm reading what he's saying right now.
It's mostly just that I'm a very opinionated person online. I definitely have, like, an amped up version of my real life personality. People will watch my content for like 1 hour, like pick and choose the videos they want to watch, which, I mean, yeah, that's just how YouTube works. You don't fully know somebody just from watching my videos, right? And some people, not all people, some people will take my videos and just because they don't like my attitude in them, or they don't like something I said 3 years ago, 2 years ago, even a year ago, and decide that that hour span of content that they've consumed defines if I have a good or bad character as a person. Yeah, I want to talk about that because there's just a lot of things going out there. The first big one is that I'm quitting because of the videos people were making about me, which...
Oh no, I by no means think that that's the case. I think you're quitting because you know that quitting in this way will give you the best chance of being able to succeed later. I don't think you're quitting because of the response. I think you're quitting for your own personal gain, which, if anything, is actually a worse thing to be doing. So, I mean, I'll hear you out, but I don't think that that's the case at all.
Just isn't really the case. Like I said, I haven't watched a lot of these like hour-long videos about me. That's just because like I'm not going to put myself through that mentally. Like I have a lot of stuff going on. Like a lot of people know, I'm still in the process of bottom surgery, and I made a video a couple months ago about how COVID, pushing that back, even though I completely understand it, it's just like hard on me. And so
that is a perfectly valid thing. Like, we're all human. Kalvin is human, even if I disagree with him. We are still both human. We both feel emotion. We both have downs and ups and all arounds. And yeah, at the end of the day, we just need to support each other as much as we can. But there are points where there's lines that can be crossed. Let's just put it like that.
Just already have a lot of like issues just regarding completely unrelated things, and I'm not pile more on top of that on purpose. For the past 4 years, YouTube has been my job, and unfortunately it took me quite a bit of time to kind of come to the realization. By the way, I'm kind of just talking about a lot of things in this video, so I'm going to put timestamps in the most accessible way that I can on the video, so that if you don't want to watch this part about me, you're not really a fan, you just are watching this, you can easily access me discussing like the really hot topics right now. So I'm going to put that down in the comments and the description. But
I am wanting to have the full context. I don't want to just, because I know I've already checked the description to see what they're actually talking about, what he's actually talking about. And I'm going to watch it through because I need to know the build-up, basically. I need to know what he's going through so I can understand why he's doing and has done the things that everyone's complaining about. Because there's one thing that really got me to actually watch this video, and it's towards the end. But yeah, I want to see the full build-up, the full explanation of actions. I don't want to just jump into it, be like, oh wow, he said this about whoever, and like, I'm not a drama channel. That's not the point of this. I have my opinions, and it can seem like I'm attacking people, but like, I do want to know the full story. I don't just want to hop around. I want to know everything that there is to know.
YouTube's been my job for the past like 3 to 4 years. Because of that, I was kind of blindsided about like what it really means to like have a job. I just feel like I missed out on that like experience as like a teenager and young adult of having a regular job. Also, not having all of my shit aired out online. Like I made the mistake of, I wouldn't even say it's a fully mistake, but I kind of look back and regret making myself into such a public figure, because
I just want to, like, briefly just rephrase what you just said. I didn't get to live a normal life because I got famous online, and I don't want that to have happened. That's what you just said, right? That he wishes he'd just had a normal job. He feels like he's missed out on the opportunity to have a normal job. And he wishes that he wasn't in the public eye. I mean, that's perfectly valid, but like, you could have got out at any time. There was nothing ever stopping you. And at the end of the day, I guarantee in today's climate there'll be plenty of opportunities for you to get work. There's no chance you wouldn't get hired. It's a really strange thing to say.
The reality of it now is that I'm definitely not as outgoing in real life as I think people would think. Like, if you've ever met me in person, you've been to like a meetup I did or something, I think a lot of people can attest to that. I'm definitely a little more like, oh, I'm...
Just side note, the irony of being someone who is saying, "Oh yeah, I wish I wasn't in the public eye," and then going on about how they did meetups. That's like, surely that goes against it. It may be a recent like thing of like he's realized he doesn't want it, but like, you know what I'm trying to say? It's a bit weird when he's spent all his time in the public eye and now he's like, "Nah, I'm not into this anymore."
Like, I don't want all the attention on me. I don't like that. So that's one reason. I got doxxed, which is just like an eye roll, and it affects.
Doxing is bad. Doxing is bad. Don't dox people. I'm talking to you. Don't dox people. But yeah, no, doxing and all the other like related stuff. It's not swatting as well. Just don't do it. Don't. It's not worth it. Like, I don't care how much you dislike someone. It's not a good thing to dox them or to swat them or whatever else. People are people. Like, you can disagree with them, you can argue with them, you can complain about them. Hell, make a diss track, I don't care. Don't be harassing them in real life over things they've done online. Unless those things they've done online are like legitimate threats, but then just involve the authorities. I don't trust cops like any more than most people do, but like we do have the systems in place to protect from things like online threats. So yeah.
My family too. Like, that's another thing I didn't really think about. Like, a lot of people would know this, and I'm not saying everyone does this, but there's just quite a lot of people that jump on like the hate train of me, and they don't do it in a constructive way. They're not criticizing me in a constructive way. They just spam my comments, right? And spamming my comments is one thing, but people started to migrate to like my sister's comments. And this is one thing I made public a while ago, is that my sister, when she was 6, got run over by a car. And
why would you ever bring that up? Why would you ever bring that up? Right, anyway, yeah, once again, just like the doxing and stuff, don't harass people's family. Well, even if the rest of their family are like public figures themselves, like your sister somewhat is, don't harass them. Don't harass, like, or okay, let me rephrase that. Don't harass them over what the original person has done. So if Kalvin's done something, don't harass his sister about what Kalvin has done. Just don't harass. Like, the only person that should ever get grief over something is the person who did it. That's how things should work. If I did something wrong, I wouldn't expect you to go and harass, I don't know, I'm trying to think of anybody that's like, I don't know, my cousin's band. You know, don't do that. Like, just because we're both in the public eye doesn't mean that you should be doing stuff like that. Like, just keep it to the person that did the original thing. So yeah, don't harass people's family.
And people know that, like, I worked through having PTSD because I saw it happen. So many people just try to, like, hurt me with it. You gotta think, like, go to my sister's comments on Instagram and you comment, you remember when you got hit by a car? And it's definitely just somebody who doesn't like me. It's someone with an anime profile picture and the, you know, their neo pronouns in their bio. And they comment that on my sister's.
Okay. Right, so I'll take it Kalvin isn't going to apologize about, like, the fact he's just been, like, offending people that aren't trans in the same way as him. I wonder if he's going to apologize about the fact that he, like, said that MBs aren't real and stuff. Like, I wonder if that stuff's going to be addressed. Because he clearly still thinks that neo-pronouns are, like, a bad thing, because he wouldn't have said it like that. The anime profile picture is just a funny thing. A lot of people say stuff like that. It's never meant to be like, oh yeah, anime's a bad thing. It's that these people can be bad. It's the whole, like, fairy argument again. But yeah, no, that's worrying that he's still going on about neo-pronouns. Like, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing to be arguing about still.
Account, and I'm just, you know, my sister didn't do anything wrong. She didn't make any videos. She's not in my content. Just that alone, even one comment like that makes it worth not doing YouTube at all. Because that's my little sister. Like, she doesn't deserve that. And then with the doxing stuff, you know, at the end of the day, getting doxed is getting doxed. Like, I have FBI contacts from when they came to my house a couple months ago, and so I already have an open case with the FBI, an open case with my local police jurisdiction. I don't want to say too much. They released one specific piece of information that makes them criminally responsible. Doxing somebody, technically, don't dox people, but doxing someone's address and their phone number and just that stuff isn't technically a crime. But when you start to get into like fraudulent stuff and things of the identity theft nature, that's when you're committing a crime. Again,
like, I know he just, like, did the whole, like, don't dox people, but then he did explain the bit that's not illegal. Like, what? I'm sorry, what? Anyway.
I'm not really sure why somebody would dox a person who is actively a criminal justice pre-law student. Like,
oh, lordy. This is the whole, he complaining about people online that do news when they're not actually journalists. Yeah, no. Like, you may have the expertise, should I say, in your field, in that field, but that doesn't mean anything. I'm a journalist in terms of, like, my degree, but that doesn't mean that I'm, like, the be-all, end-all. That means that people can't write stories about me. Like, just because you're an expert on a subject doesn't mean that people can't do things that go against you in that same subject. Like, people can still commit crimes towards police. Like, what on earth are you even... I must have misunderstood that point, but, like, what the hell?
I don't really understand why you would do that, because obviously I know how to deal with it. But at the end of the day, like, the addresses that they dox and stuff, I don't even live there currently. All it does is put my family in danger. So it's just not worth it to me, because my family, they're innocent. Even if you think I'm
Don't harass people's family. Full stop. Just don't.
the worst person alive, my family is innocent. They didn't do anything wrong. I'm sorry if I'm saying a lot, but like I want to get it all out before I take a break, because I don't want to like forget something and then have to make another video. The criticisms people have made about my content and about some of the things that I've done, a lot of it's very objective and unbiased, and I think everyone has the right to speak on anything that's posted publicly, right? Like, my videos were all public, and so because I posted them publicly, Ramble, no, isn't he so cute?
You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to play the animal card. This is what who did it now? There was a COD YouTuber that did this. They just brought a dog in during their apology, and like everyone just forgave him because he was like, oh yeah, it's a dog, you know, it's cute. You can't bring in the animals. That's not allowed. If I make an apology, you won't see me bringing in the fish. That'd be so dumb. That'd be so dumb.
Because I posted those videos publicly, people have 1,000% right to critique them. The issue is when people start spreading information that's just like blatantly false. Like, for example, there was this huge like Twitter rumor spread that I voted for Trump. Not just this year.
I like how that's like the biggest thing he's just brought up. Oh yeah, no. People were saying on Twitter that I voted for Trump. Oh wow. Oh no. Yeah, like that's like, surely there's bigger things that have been falsified about you than you voted for the Orange Man. Like, to be fair, didn't the other horseman of the apocalypse, what is her name? Blair White. Blair White is a Trump supporter, or was a Trump supporter. She's a conservative. I'm pretty sure she voted for Trump. She made Trump positive videos. I don't know whether she actually voted for Trump or not. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Kalvin was also like that, though. I know he's not a conservative. I know he's wait, what? Wrong way around. Wait, no, conservative is the UK party. Republican is what Trump was. Yeah, I know that Kalvin's a Democrat. He's a left-leaning centrist. He's an idiot. That's what he is.
But in 2016, I was 16 in 2016. I couldn't vote. Even though this doesn't really matter, and I don't...
Hold the phone. Kalvin's 1 year older than me. That's it. What the hell? What? What? That's shocking to me. Kalvin, you should know better. I knew he was older than me anyway, and so it doesn't really make a difference, but like, He's only a year older than me, actually. He's only... well, unless it's been his birthday. He's only 20, I'm 19, so I mean, okay. Interesting. I didn't know that. I honestly didn't know that. I thought he was like in his early 20s.
Feel the need to clear this. I do feel the need to clear this up because I have been registered as a Democrat since the day I was eligible to register to vote, which is when I got my Maryland state ID at 18. I've been registered as a Democrat since that day, and I have not changed my party affiliation. I voted for Bernie Sanders in the 2020 primary.
Good on you, Bernie Bros for life.
And I very actively supported Joe Biden in the 2020.
That's a bad look. I'm way too like. I'm British. I'm English. I can't vote in the US election. I would vote for Biden if I not Biden. I would have voted for Bernie initially if I could. I probably would have just voted for a party when Biden was chosen as the Democrat. But yeah, no, like I joke about it. If you vote for Biden, yeah, you're still a Democrat, that's fine. It's just he's a very right-leaning Democrat. That's all I'm saying.
Presidential election. And a big reason that I want to take a break from the internet, I already said one reason, but two is because I just don't like the atmosphere of YouTube right now. And it's not just trans discourse, it's like in cancel culture in general. Like even before people...
Cancel culture is rampant right now. I'm not helping by any means. I scrapped it because a lot of other things happened that were a bit more important. I was working on a series called Cancelled, or #Cancelled, and it was actually going to cover Blair White. There was going to be an episode on Blair White, there was going to be an episode on Kalvin Garrah, there was going to be like episodes on like Onision and stuff like that. But bigger things have happened since that was like initially like written up and stuff, so I never actually finished it. But yeah, no, cancel culture is huge right now. It's a huge... I won't necessarily call it an issue. I don't want to call it an issue. It can be an issue. It's not necessarily, but under the wrong circumstances, it is very much an issue that needs to be... It needs to be lessened. Cancel culture is a terrible thing right now. It's affecting a lot of people. And yeah, generally, don't cancel people unless they deserve it. But it's like cancel culture should only be used for like the lowest of the low. It should be used for celebrities who murder and rape and are pedophiles, that kind of thing. Cancel culture shouldn't be used for people that just have a bad political opinion. If you get what I'm saying, I don't like the reason why Kalvin and Blair White were in the cancelled series before I scrapped it was more that they are people who have been cancelled. The cancelled series wasn't me cancelling people. Maybe the exception of I was going to do an episode on a few pedophiles, which obviously deserve it. But like, yeah, no, cancel culture is a plague, and we need to figure out how to best solve it. Hopefully things will change. Hopefully things will get back to normal, and by normal I mean like 2013. Oh, it's fun on the internet nowadays.
We're canceling me. I didn't like the way that they were canceling other people. There are people that deserve to be canceled. Shane Dawson. Like, people that are genuinely making videos that are predatory towards...
He was on the list of people to cancel, to be fair. But, like, on the cancel show list. That is a weird thing to call out. Because, like, Shane's done a lot of bad things. Don't get me wrong. But he's on par with Kalvin. Like, I would never... Because... Hot take, at least Shane Dawson has made good content. Kalvin hasn't, in my opinion. That's my opinion. It's completely subjective. But I think most people would agree that Shane Dawson has made good content. He's just also done a lot of reprehensible stuff. And Kalvin has done a lot of reprehensible stuff and has made middling at best content. Oh, just opinions, but like... Yeah, calling out Shane is a weird way to go. Like, that's a weird way to leave. And it's just because it's an easy target. It's because people are against Shane anyway. You've really just gone for the low-hanging fruit, haven't you? Children
that are racist. People tried to say I was anti-Semitic because I said that I love Jewish people because unlike a lot of other religions, a lot of Jewish people mind their own business and they don't try to like shove their beliefs down their throat, which
That was not what you said, but also, if I remember correctly to that situation, well, actually, let's just first talk about what he just said. If you're saying, oh yeah, I like Jewish people because they don't force their religion on me, that's not anti-Semitic, that's anti-everything else. Like, I'm not saying that that's racism, because realistically it isn't. Stereotyping, maybe, but like, eh. I mean, most religious people do keep to themselves. Like, I mean, when's the last time you had a Buddhist try and force their religion on you? You know what I mean? But like, yeah, that's a weird. You're saying a lot of weird things, Kalvin, and I don't get why.
to me, when it comes to religion, shows a lot of like self-awareness. Like you believe in your religion and you don't shove it on other people. So I love Jewish people. I have never once in my life said anything negative about Jewish people. And then people call me racist. Somebody edited a Confederate flag into the back of one of my videos, which the video is public. You can see there's no Confederate flag there. But sorry, I'm not going to be connected to that. Like
Oh no, what's that? The Nazi flag? Oh no. Editor me, please don't actually do that. I'll accept an iron cross just because I wear a hat with one, but don't put a Nazi flag in the background.
I'm not racist. I'm not anti-Semitic. I've never done anything that would point to that. The one thing that I've seen people bring up that I still shake my head at this because I still agree with the point. I basically said that the First Amendment protects you against pretty much anything. Like the one thing I can think of that the First Amendment does not protect you against is like obscenity.
It protects against obscenity unless... What the hell do you mean by obscenity? Obscenity is swearing or cursing or blasphemy, which are all protected under the, like, this is just my basic, like, borderline knowledge of the First Amendment. Like, you're not allowed threats, you're not allowed, threats of any kind, you're not allowed to, that's really it, actually, it's threats. What do you mean by obscenities? It might actually explain what he means by obscenities, but, like, obscenities are swearing, or cursing, or blasphemy, or anything else. The First Amendment protects me to be able to read the Satanic Bible, but if I cause an insurrection of the I don't know what happened recently, but no, like it's not going to protect me from like threatening people online. You know, if I threaten to blow up a church or something, you know, that's not protected under the First Amendment or whatever your equivalent is of free speech. In the UK, I have no free speech, but we know that. We'll move on. But yeah, no, like, obscenities are protected. As if you're meaning obscenities in the way that everyone means obscenities, which is swearing, cursing, saying outrageous things, dark humour, things like that. Offensive things, basically. You're allowed to be offensive. That's protected. But threats are not protected. You're not allowed to say, oh, I'll kill you. You're not allowed to say, I'll blow this place up. You're not allowed to say that. That's not protected. Why are you... I got way too hung up on that. I'm sorry.
Obscenity, it's determined by the public, right? Like, you're not really protected completely under the First Amendment if something is deemed as obscene. But hate speech...
Is he about to say that hate speech is protected under the First Amendment? Is that what he's about to say? Because if that's what he's about to say, first off, that is an obscenity. In whatever definition you're trying to push forward, because you're not pushing forward a normal, like, definition of it.
Which I've never said anything that would be considered under the law hate speech. But hate speech, I said in and of itself, I posted this, is that hate speech is covered by the First Amendment.
He's actually saying that hate speech is covered by the First Amendment. Kalvin, have you even read your own amendments? Are you even familiar with free speech in your country? I feel like I have a better understanding of his laws right now. What on earth are you saying? Hate speech is not protected under freedom of speech. That's just not a thing. Did you even, like... I feel like you're just talking out of your ass right now. Like, because surely he must know better than to say that it's protected under... What on earth are you on about, Kalvin?
First Amendment can't discriminate based on your political views, even if they're shitty. And I
You're allowed to have political views. That's not what you're saying. You're saying hate speech. Hate speech applies to... Hate speech is identity. Like, yeah, political identity, if you can't technically... Okay, some forms are protected because you can disagree with someone's religion, you can disagree with somebody's political views, and you are allowed to argue against them and stuff. It's when you start to, like, say things about whole groups and stuff, it's when you get to the point of racism, or I'm trying to think of an equivalent thing to racism that's for politics. There are definitely things for it, but I can't think of any of them right now. Yeah. What are you on about, Kalvin?
I basically just said that when people criticize others for using derogatory language, like the N-word, they try to bring up the First Amendment, which is just a terrible point to bring up, right? Like, I do not condone any day of the week white people going around, like, saying the N-word, especially not white people going around saying the N-word with the hard R, using it in a derogatory way towards people of color. Like, I don't do that. I don't support that. People try to cite this statement that I made where I basically said, welcome to the real world. If I wanted to, I could say the N-word.
It would not be protected under free speech if it's targeted. So it depends. Yeah, technically, it's perfectly protected speech to just say the N-word. It's when it's targeted that it becomes an issue. It's like, it's same with most slurs. Like, you can say the F-word gay slur. I do normally say it, but, like, I'm not going to say it in this video just for proof of point. Like, you can say the gay F-word, the like the R-word that's used derogatory towards people like that are autistic or anything like that. Or neurodivergent, whatever the term actually is, I forget. Yeah, you're allowed to say those under freedom of speech. That's fine, but it's if they're targeted. You're not allowed to just, like, you know, if you walk up to a black guy that you don't know and say, "What's up, my," and insert the word there. Yeah, no, you're not allowed to do that. But yeah, technically you are allowed to just say it. You're allowed to speak words, like, you're just not allowed to... Oh, this is a really weird thing for Kalvin to, like, try and argue.
But I don't. That's basically what I said. Which, you can literally say anything you want. There's you could pretty much say anything that you wanted to, as long as you are not inciting violence, right? There's this, like, issue with the atmosphere of politics on the internet, where leftists, so there's, like, right, so I don't know how to explain this quickly. There's not just Democrat and Republican, right? You have, like, different levels. So, like, on the...
It's the whole political compass thing. What he's trying to say is there is far left, which is your communists, your true communists, quote unquote. Then you get a bit further and you get to, like, the green area, the, like, you know, the hippies of the world. Then you go a bit further and you get the moderate left, which is the standard left. It's what most left-leaning political parties are, or mainstay ones. So the Democrats and Labour are, you know, just general left, moderate left. You have centrists, which are neutral in a sense, but often a centrist will actually be someone who likes some ideas from both sides. So it's hard for them to be placed, so they just fall in the middle. You have the moderate right, which is generally where the Republican Party most of the time and the Conservative Party, parties like that, will fall. Then you have I don't know, there's not a really easy way to put it, because no matter what, I'm offending someone, but I'm just going to call it the racist right, where it's pretty much just the moderate right, but not moderate. It's what you think of when you think of the right. It's a lot of nationalism, a lot of patriotism, but it's not, like, at the most extreme end. And then when you get to the very far right, you get the alt-right, which is actual, by definition, Nazis. That's the key explanation. He's probably going to give something similar, but that's the actual build of it.
Left, you have liberals, and then you have like democratic socialists, and then you have like leftists, and there's just like different varying degrees of like how far left you are.
They're different areas of the... Liberals are... Wait, so this corner is... I'm just trying to work it out on the camera. This corner is authoritarian right. That's liberal right. That's liberal left. That's authoritarian left. So, like, that's Stalin. That's Hitler. That's... Shoe Head, I don't know. And that's Bernie Sanders. Just as a quick, simple thing. I don't know who would actually fall here. Like, right-leaning liberal is a weird place to be. But yeah. So, liberal is just anything across the bottom. Liberal can be left or right. It's anywhere. Like, Social Democrats are like central left. Like, and then communist, like, one... Your definitions of political, of the political compass are way off.
And one thing I've noticed is that leftists, people who are really, really far left,
so the like hippy dippy ones, the Green Party's is it Orange is the other one, the other common one, but those sorts of parties, those ones that it's like they're not quite at communist level, but like, you know, they want a lot of the things that are good about communism, and they also care about things like the environment and animals and, you know, the generic socialist things, but like they take it further than they probably need to. It's where I'd fall. I'm green socialist. You know, I believe that communists can function. But yeah, no, it's...
They hate on people on the left who aren't as far left as them more than they hate on conservatives.
Valid, yeah, sure.
Like, these people who are leftists and they're really, really, like, passionate about, like, socialism, even communism for some people, you know, and just, like...
I'm not doing a Nazi salute. I've got my hands flat. I hope that I remember to actually put Nostroya in the background there, because that's going to be really awkward if I don't.
So radicalized, they hate on people on the left who aren't as radical more than they hate on conservatives, and that's just something I don't like. I don't agree with it. I would say that I'm pretty far left when it comes to my political views, just because I'm not out here screaming about my support for neopronouns, just I'm not out here blindly supporting everything people say on the left. People will say that I'm on the right, and I'm just like, that's just not the case. Like, that's not how it...
I stand by what I said earlier of Kalvin is clearly on the left, but he's central left. He's where, like, the Democrats and Labour Party fall. He doesn't, because he's not like a true socialist. You know, he is a capitalist socialist, which is a dumb way of putting it, but that's what I'm meaning. He is left. You know, Blair's way right, but, like, you know, Kalvin on the left still, just not heavily on the left. Like, if we say that, well, that's the centre of the political compass, so I'm like here, I'm like here, Kalvin's like here-ish, like, he is left, but he's not, like, miles left, you know?
Works. Trans discourse is such a minuscule part of politics, and the really, really, really important aspects of trans discourse, right? Which is just fundamentally getting society to view trans women as women and trans men as men, and to understand the biological factors and the idea that it's not a choice. Like, you don't choose to have this life. Getting people in society to fundamentally agree with that should be the main goals of the trans community, and preventing Black trans women from being murdered, like, that's a huge issue. Like,
yeah, I agree completely with that. It's very much a thing of the... To be fair, it's almost the only thing that trans discourse should have politically, is that we want equality. That's the main goal. It's the main goal for the LGBTQ plus IA whatever movement as a whole, is just having equality. We want to be treated the same as the cis straights. I forgot what the word for straight is. But yeah, the cisgender heterosexuals, that's it, are treated better generally than the than the ones that aren't, than the LGBTQ plus. Like, so yeah, that should be the main goal of political discourse around transgenderism and any like gender or sexuality things, is we want to be equal. You know, at the end of the day, it's things like things that we've already done, like same-sex marriage, or things that like we're still trying to work out, which is having like unisex bathrooms, or having like the ability for a trans man to use a male bathroom or a trans woman to use a female bathroom. That's the also, yes, I'm British, so I use bathroom to mean toilet, but yeah. Or is it? I don't even remember what way around it is in America. But yeah, no, yeah, Kalvin's right. Kalvin is right with that.
Like, I see more people mad because somebody is criticizing neopronouns, or because somebody...
But that's not political. That's just general discourse around gender and pronouns and trans stuff. That's just general trans discourse. Like, I can see why he's like connecting the dots here, but like, people talk about different things and they're not always directly related. I can talk about plenty of different things and have completely different meaning, even if they're a similar topic. You know, my Twitter is a perfect example of that. But like, I don't know. It's difficult.
is refusing to put their pronouns in their bio. I see more hate towards people that don't do those things.
In all fairness, put your pronouns in your bio. It literally doesn't hurt anything. Like, it doesn't change anything. Like, I mean, most social media have like 100 character limit for your name. So I mean, on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, just throw it in your name if you don't want it in your bio. If you don't want to clutter your bio, it's just, it helps normalize them. So then people that use they, them, or neo pronouns or are transgender, it's a lot easier for them to get correctly identified, you know?
Than I do towards conservatives. Like, I literally, that's just my experience. I see it and I don't like it, and I just don't really want to be a part of that.
It is kind of the case that the focus from the left on the conservatives is the extreme conservatives, the ones that are like Trump loving, the ones that stormed the Capitol, that kind of thing. That's where our right focus is. And then we do look at ourselves, at the rest of the left, and criticize it, because we don't want to fall into the traps that the conservatives have fallen, where it's just become more and more radical in like, there's good ways to go. There are good ways that conservatives can go radical. Like, radical capitalism can be a good thing, certain aspects of it. Just as certain aspects of radical leftism or socialism or communism are bad. Some aspects are bad. So it's finding that middle ground. So it's like, yes, I will definitely complain that people aren't, like, they'll be on the left, but they're not, like, pushing the right things for the left. But I'll also complain that people are too extreme. There's plenty of people that are ridiculously far left, to a point where even someone like me struggles to find anything that I have in common with them. Never mind something that I agree with them on. It's a turning scale. It's trying to figure out the equality, the equivalency. That's the word, equivalency. It's trying to find the equivalency of all the factors. In an ideal world, everyone will be centrist and have all the best aspects of both sides, but that's just not how we function. There's always two sides, unfortunately, even within a group. There's always two sides to a gender argument within a group of trans people. There's always two sides to any argument, no matter what. It's just how it is. Like, complaining about it isn't going to fix it.
And then I was getting into this, but the biggest reason I think why I want to take a break is because I've obviously built up a very, very trans medicalist, true scum audience.
I already know what this bit's about because he's going to say that he's not either of those things, or he's at least not going. He at least says that he's not a trans med. That's incorrect. You've said on multiple occasions in multiple videos. The only reason that I believe he even changed is because of the fact that Blair stopped being a trans medicalist. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the only reason that Kalvin actually changed his mind in the end. Like, you are a trans med. Like, by definition, that's what you are because your beliefs line up with it. Like, I don't know. It's a dumb thing to say, but whatever.
Really identify with the term trans med anymore. I don't really identify with any term that the trans community uses to label people. I still do think you need a level of gender dysphoria or gender incongruence or whatever you want to call it.
So you're a trans med. That's what I'm saying. He is still a trans med, just he doesn't identify as a trans med. It still makes you a trans med. You're like, if you, I don't want to have to complain about transmedicalism because I've already ranted way too much on Twitter about it in the past. It's just not a worthwhile argument. It's so annoying. It's so annoying.
To be trans. There's just so much nuance to it, and if transmed ideology wants to keep up and be scientifically accurate like they claim to be, or like we've all claimed to be, it's important to actively think about what you believe and to restructure your beliefs in a way that is scientifically up to date, right? So like I think that at the end of the day, there are a million reasons why people can't medically transition, right? And that doesn't mean that they're not trans.
Okay, he is actually going back on some points that he has made in the past. I appreciate that because it's true. Like, sometimes you can't medically transition. So saying that to be transgender you need to medically transition is a ridiculous thing to say. Some people can't have hormones, some people can't have the surgeries, some people can and choose not to. That they're still trans. It's like, I hate to just be like, oh yeah, being trans is just identity politics, but it kind of is. It's how you identify. It's how you identify and want to be perceived by other people. I don't think that's wrong to say. Like, it does, but yeah, as Kalvin, I think, is trying to say, it's not the be all end all of whether you like go through all the procedures to become your like preferred gender or preferred identity. It's just about acceptance, and you should just be accepted. If you are someone who's going, yeah, I'm non-binary, I'm trans male, I'm trans female, I'm whatever else, I am an awkward person because I don't care how you identify, but I struggle to, like, with a serious face, say any of the things about like neo-gender. But yeah, no, if you want to identify in any of these kind of out there ways, power to you. I don't care. It doesn't affect my life. Just don't stop me. That's the be all end all. That's the reason why I fell out of love with Kalvin. Like, I used to enjoy his content, but like he shoots down, or used to shoot down, basically anyone that was different from him and Blair. It was same with Blair. The reason why I had to stop watching Blair was the exact same as Kalvin. I don't know. There's something just awkward about how they act. I don't know. Might just be me.
That doesn't mean they don't have dysphoria. There's reasons why people can't bind. There's reasons why people can't medically transition. There's reasons why people can't even come out because of their family. And so while I feel like I've always kind of said that, like if you go back and watch any of my videos, I pretty much have always been under the mindset that you don't need to medically transition to be a valid trans person. Overarchingly, the trans med community isn't really together about their beliefs. Like, there isn't really one definition of what trans med is, and so I was seeing a lot of definitions from people of what trans med is that just didn't line up with what I personally believe. And so I have a lot of pressure from my audience, and not just my audience, but people that don't like me. So like one side for me to be really trans med and to be like super critical of the gender movement, right? And then I have pressure from other people telling me that if I'm not accepting of everybody, I'm an awful person. And I really think that my opinions lie really in between those two things. So I want to have the opportunity to really rethink and reflect on what my honest views are without feeling pressure on the internet.
I'm just going to say he definitely did have the views of trans medicalists. Like, he definitely did. He made those points in various videos. Fair enough if he's moved on from that, if he's realised the error of his ways or whatever else. If he's changed his opinion, power to him. You know, you're allowed to. But, like, you can't say, oh no, I never felt like this. Because you clearly did, because you made videos about it, Kalvin. I don't get why... It's arguments like that. I'm just like, you're not really taking accountability for your actions if you're, like, completely just backing off from, like, who you were. Like, that's not taking accountability, that's just ignoring the issue. It's a weird thing. He's done that a lot where he's been like, oh yeah, this was in the past, or, you know, people said in the past I was like this, but I wasn't. And it's like, you're not taking accountability, you're just, like, you're trying to debunk things that, like, are true. And then you're going on about how, oh yeah, my videos are public, you know, it's online. It's like, then why are you debunking things that are proven by your videos? It's so weird.
To think one way. And so those were the main reasons why I wanted to stop making videos. It had nothing to do with people saying things about me or people making videos about me, and I don't want people to think that that's the reason, because it's just not. I'm not the type of person to power away or quit when people have an issue with me. That's just, you know, there's always been people that had an issue with me, and I didn't stop. So there's a lot more reasons. Like I was saying, and this isn't even another one, like I have chronic migraines. Like, it's just been an issue I've had for years. And so
same. I don't have anything else to add there. Same. I have chronic migraines and it's awful. So yeah, it's a very good reason. I often will have to take, like, long breaks from, like, any computer screens or, like, phone screens or anything else to deal with it. So that is a very valid reason, a perfectly valid reason to stop YouTube. Because, yeah, you end up staring at screens a lot when you're a YouTuber of any caliber, of any level. Which, that's not a real plaque. just in case anyone was wondering, that's not a real plaque. But yeah, no, like, yeah, you should take breaks. Like, burnout's a real thing, but so is, like, there's a lot of things that can happen to you if you don't take breaks from time to time. You need to. It's for your own health. You know, I will, a lot of the time, if I want a break, I'll just pre-record a ton of content and maybe space it out a little bit more. And then I have a few weeks off. I can come back to it, fresh eyes, and enjoy it again, you know? So, you know, if he made a video saying, yeah, no, I've been having chronic migraines and I've not been really feeling up to making content, I'm going to take a break for a while, I don't know when I'm going to be back, I don't think anyone would have an issue. It's the fact he's trying to make it into an apology, a taking accountability video. It's just...
I was spending so much time, like, looking at a computer screen to edit my videos that when school all went online, it was hard for me to balance. Like, I can't be on the computer for, like, a super long amount of time at once. So having to do school and YouTube at the same time was just, like, painful, like, physically painful. I have blue light glasses now, and they've actually helped, and I'm seeing a neurologist. So I'm working on that issue, but it was just a lot for me. But now I want to get into the bulk of this video, which is addressing a lot of the things that people are saying about me, what Brennan said about me, what people have brought up from my past.
So this is very much the main bulk of why I wanted to cover this video. This is where he's responding to what people specifically have said about him, rather than it just being like a blanket statement. This is about specific videos, about specific people, and this is the main reason why I wanted to cover this. So let's let Kalvin continue on, and I'll pause it, as I have been doing, as I get to the bits I want to talk about.
And yeah, I really have been thinking about this, wanting to talk about it again. I don't want people to assume that I'm doing it for retribution, to make people like me, because I feel like I have to. Like, I don't feel like I have to do it. Like, if I didn't feel sorry for some things, I just would leave it at that and I wouldn't post. But there are things I feel sorry for, and a lot of people accuse me of not apologizing at all, which is just not true. So if you haven't watched Brennan's video, I recommend that you do, because I think it's only right for people to get both sides of a story. I made a video about Brennan in 2018, which has been privated, and then it was public again. I'm going to talk about why I, for like a day or two, made it public. Brennan made a video where he I'm not sure if it's he or they, so I'm just gonna go with both, where he basically talks about like the after effect of that video. And so I watched his video, and I genuinely felt bad. Like when I was 17 years old, like when I made that initial video, I had about like 50,000 subscribers. And I know a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago I misspoke, and I thought Brendan's video had way more views than it did when I first reacted to it. Essentially what had happened is that there was another trans YouTuber at the time. He didn't have as many subscribers, but he had made a video about Brendan that I watched that had like 20 or 30k views. His name's Matthew C, if you want to go look. And on top of that, Brendan had been on an MTV show called True Life. And so what sparked my outrage at the video was the fact that Brennan, and I'm not saying anything about Brennan now because I know currently Brennan I think identifies as a trans man or a non-binary trans man. And if you're watching this and you're a fan of me, please don't give Brennan more harassment. This is one of the big reasons I didn't make a video right off the bat. It's because I did not want Brennan to get more harassment. Like, spoiler alert, I sent Brennan a private apology, a really long apology, which I'm going to read here, which Brennan said was a terrible apology, but I think it's fair for people watching me to know what I said, because
so far, I'll say he's done a decent job of actually apologising here. There's not really anything I can say to counter it, because as far as I'm, like, from the outside looking in, I say I was not involved, I was there for that original controversy. I think he's doing pretty good right now. It could go downhill. This apology could be trash. I don't know, but so far, I mean, I can't really complain about what he's saying. He's saying the right stuff. He's saying what he needs to say, even if he might not mean it. I don't know, but like as far as I can tell, he seems to actually be. He seems to be apologizing in the right way, should I say.
I didn't wait this long to apologize to Brennan. I sent Brennan a personal apology, like right off the bat. But yeah, the video that I reacted to initially, at the time in the original video, I watched it back like a few times since I posted it. And the most recent time I watched it back and I'm just thinking like, you know, there are points in here that I agree with to this day. But the overall attitude I had in the video, the overall way that I spoke about Brennan, the way that I acted in the video, it's just not me now. I don't act that way now. I don't make videos like that now. Even
I'd say that that's the level of taking accountability that I kind of wanted to see from Kalvin in this video. Like, he is trying to pass the blame off as like that's the past me, but he is still saying that he takes accountability for that action, and that he believes he's changed from that point. So, you know, so far so good. So far so good.
This one video about Milo Stewart that I posted, I'm gonna get into that as well. You know, people were really mad about that video. Hi. But
stop talking to the cat. The cat has been in the background for ages, like just messing around, and I keep getting distracted by the cat, and that is a perfect tactic. Get the cat out of the room. Yeah. The Milo thing is actually what ticked me off to the fact this video even existed, because Milo had been talking about it. So yeah, it is going to be interesting to say the least.
But if you were to compare, you know, that video and any other recent reaction videos that I've done, none of them are as mean-spirited as some of my first ones. So a lot of people would know I was on a live stream with another YouTuber, Riley Grace Rochong. If you guys want to check out her channel, you definitely should. If you like my content and you kind of want an idea of my mindset, I think Riley and I think very similarly. Or at least my goal is to be like Riley. I think
yeah, I don't know. I think Riley's a little bit more, not as like extreme. Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. You two are pretty similar, I guess.
she's literally one of the smartest people I know, and I really value her opinion. I've seen people getting mad at Riley for even talking to me, and it's just like ridiculous.
It's because Riley's looked at as being a really nice person, whereas you're just not. That's the issue. That's the issue at hand here.
Ridiculous to see, because Riley and I definitely probably don't agree on everything, but she's very good at looking at things through a utilitarian lens and looking at things objectively, which is a viewpoint I really appreciate from anybody. We were talking, and Riley really did convince me that I should take down the Brennan video. I mean, I definitely like hadn't thought much about it until I was on Riley's stream. I thought Riley made really, really good points, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to take down the video. And so I took down the video, and at that point, Brennan hadn't been posting at all. Brennan didn't make any videos about me yet. I didn't even know Brennan had an Instagram because I'm blocked on every account. Like, we're not just talking my main or my set, like any account that I've ever had. I don't even know how they fully knew like all my accounts, but they blocked every single one. I just had no way of really getting into contact to apologize even before they made their video. When Brennan made their video, I watched it, like I said, and there were a lot of things that I really, really sympathized with them on, and I really did feel bad for. One of those big things was I made like this insult that was like a body shaming insult, right? Like,
which was the main controversy overall. Like, that was the main issue. So, things, it's really difficult to like find fault in what Kalvin has said so far, because all he's really said is what he needed to. And it's like, I say it could still go downhill, but like, yeah, no. Like, he's made all the points that he's getting through the points, should I say, that have been made against him about that video. Hopefully, this is the general case for all the videos that he's going to mention. He's going to apologise for what he did wrong, and, you know, people are going to be able to move on. I'm going to stand by that it's not really the right thing to do to completely forgive him for his actions just off this video, because when he comes back, because he's going to come back, we shouldn't be giving him his platform back, because he doesn't deserve the platform he currently has. I'm not saying I'm saying he should have a platform, but the platform that he has like built, I mean, he's even said he doesn't really want some of the people that are in his fan base, in his community. Ipso facto, at the end of the day, it should only be up to the quality of his content and the honesty and the actual like change that he makes that should dictate whether he gets a fan base again when he comes back. Like, don't deplatform him, but like, don't look at this video and go, oh yeah, no, he's good now, you know, he's changed his ways. Wait for actions to speak louder than words. Wait for him to actually act upon this apologeticness, this taking accountability. If he doesn't take accountability when he returns, you know, if he just goes back to the same old shtick, that's an issue. And we shouldn't just be like, oh, well, you apologise, so it's fine now, because that's not how it works. But yeah, carry on.
Something about like, oh, I can think of a reason why you might hate your body. It's not because you're trans, which is just like such a low blow. And like, who am I to make a fat joke? Okay, I'm not the skinniest dude in the world. Look at me, I gained weight being on T. Like, it was just an unnecessary, you know.
That wasn't me nodding that Kalvin is like fat. That was me nodding that it's like, it's not anyone's place to say stuff about other people's weight, other people's height, other people's attractiveness, looks, whatever. It's not your place to criticize other people's bodies, because it's fair enough to give honest opinions if you are asked for them, but you shouldn't just be like throwing out that there's certain things wrong with people's appearances. It's not fair. You know, if somebody was like, oh, well, your hair's shit, you know, towards me, that's not fair, really. I'd agree with it. My hair is terrible, but like, you know, there's a level of you shouldn't be just attacking people based on their appearance, just generally. It's not a good look. It's not a good thing to do. So, yeah, it's wrong. It was wrong then. It's still wrong now. Glad that he's apologised for it and accepted that it was a way out of line. And yeah, good that he pointed it out there.
Comment to make. And so I went into my video and removed that portion, because that is just like one big statement that I really didn't like that I had made. I thought it was just like a really bad thing that I said, and for that I felt really, really awful. And on top of that, like I said, the general attitude of the video was just not me. That's just not how I act now. I'm not this like little wannabe Leafy clone anymore. You know,
Oh, great. Referencing Leafy's here is like one of my top 10 things to happen in an apology video. Like the whole apologizing for being like Leafy, because like everyone was like Leafy. I was like Leafy. I made Leafy content a long time ago, like when Leafy was still relevant. And yeah, that kind of shit, it does corrupt your way of thinking. You do act differently when you get into that mindset. So yeah, like I'm very glad that you referenced it. I that's the bingo card ticked off. You know, that's great. Let's carry on.
made videos where I analyze the mental health of people like Lovely Peaches. You know, I spoke out about Ariel being a TERF. I spoke out about that TERF book. I read the book and I did an analysis of it. And so, like, that's the type of content that I've been liking to make. Yeah, so, I mean, when Brennan made their video, I completely understood almost all of the criticisms that were being made. The only thing that I can sit here and say, I still think that Brennan's original video, which is on their channel, was a bad representation at the time of what AFAB people with chest dysphoria go through.
But if I remember that video correctly, like, he never stated that it was the universal representation. He was very much talking from his own experience and made it clear that it was his experience. I may be misremembering that video. It has been a long time. But I don't believe it's valid to say their experience, them talking about their experience, invalidates, like, the truth, basically. That's what Kalvin's kind of... He is apologising. Like, I'll give him that. But, like, there's odd little bits that are coming through of just, like, he doesn't fully, like, disagree with what he said before. He did say that before, that there are points that he made that he agrees with. That's fine. That's fair. But yeah, it's wishy-washy, starting to get a bit meh. I don't know.
Of course, that was heightened at the time because I hadn't had top surgery. But, you know, I think there's something to say as to why a lot of people liked that video in the first place. And I still think to this day that that one video was bad representation of what it's like to have chest dysphoria, whether you're non-binary, binary, whatever. I know a lot of the time people who are non-binary have a different experience with dysphoria, but that was never clarified, right? It was never like, this is my non-binary chest dysphoria. It was just like this person who was on MTV.
At the end of the day, chest dysphoria is chest dysphoria, just as any specific type of dysphoria. It's the same regardless of how you identify or, like, what you started as. Like, it's still the same. Like, the experience can change, don't get me wrong, but, like, it's still talking about the same thing. Like, you know, whether you're AMAB or AFAB, if you're talking about bottom dysphoria, you're still talking about the same innate feeling. You're just, the context changes. The specifics change, but the actual core concept is the same still. And as I said, it's personal. Like, everyone experiences things differently. Kalvin does not experience things the way that most people do. Most trans people, should I say, do. Like, but also I don't. Like, Brennan doesn't, Milo doesn't, none of us, Blair doesn't. None of us experience it the same as each other. We might have similar aspects of it that we experience, but generally that's just not how it works. Everyone's different. Everyone has their own experiences, and that's the key thing. No one's experience is representative of everyone's experience. Remember, the experiences of a small group, but it won't be the majority. Very rarely is it the majority.
An MTV episode about being transgender, and a lot of people, I think, especially cis people, and people forget this, that cis people will watch a video about a trans person born female, and they're not thinking, oh, are they non-binary, or are they trying to be a man? It's like, oh, you're born female and you want to be a guy, or oh, you're born male and you want to be a girl.
That is a fair statement. Like, that is how our media portrays it. Like, you're either born male and want to be female, or born female want to be male. There's no, in mainstream media, there is no representation or true representation of non-binaries or other like less like known genders. There's no discussion of that. It's if you're trans, you're male to female or female to male. That's it. That is the representation. So it's a valid thing to push, to say. But like, Kalvin, you know better and you knew better. So that argument doesn't work for you. It's a perfectly valid reason to see that in cis people, but like, it doesn't apply to you. That's what I'm saying, because he knew better at the time and he still knows better now.
A lot of people, especially in 2018, 2017, they weren't thinking that. They're not thinking about non-binary people and how their dysphoria differs. And I wasn't thinking about it either. So that's...
But you did know better. You knew to think about it like that. And it's like, because he was making content about non-binary people, so he should have known at that point that people are different, that people that are non-binary will experience it differently. Like, I'm not saying, yeah, fair enough, it's not like clear whether someone is wanting to be completely transitioned or are wanting to be non-binary or what. Like, it could be anything. It's never clear, or never necessarily clear. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it isn't. It's just, you need to be aware of these things. As someone that talks about these subjects, you need to be like privy to this sort of information, this sort of topic. It's just, I feel like you just kind of weren't, Kalvin. Which, I mean, also, fantastic pause point. Very happy with that one. That's thumbnail material. So, you know, there we go. We've got a thumbnail right now. Yeah, no. I swear, if I actually make that the thumbnail, I'm going to be so annoyed.
The only thing that I will still stick by to this day. I don't like the way that dysphoria was represented in the video. After Brennan made their initial video, I sent them this message, and I'm going to read it for you guys. I messaged them from my...
Put down screen, Kalvin, please. Because I it's not like I don't trust you, but I don't want you to misconstrue your own point. And I feel that you're going to if you don't put it on screen. Because you haven't had any graphics so far. Other than at the very start when you were showing, it was archive footage. You were showing like a stream or a reaction video or something. That's the only time you've brought something else up. So I hope you actually put this on screen.
Private Instagram, my like local Instagram. I said, hey, I'm messaging you from my private account because I think you have me blocked on my main, but I wanted to send you a message and make sure that you know I watched your video, and I have a lot of feelings towards it, but first and foremost, I do owe you an apology. I want to make it abundantly clear that due to my own ignorance, I really had not gone back and rewatched my original video to reevaluate what I had said in years, but after watching it recently, I took it down, and on that live stream with Riley, I was drunk and kind of talking out my ass, but I did take it down honestly because I don't agree with several assertions I made about you and the general attitude I had within the video.
I mean, so far that seems like an okay apology. It's very corporate. It's very saying what needs to be said sort of feeling. But like, I mean, I talk like that as well, so I can't really judge that all too heavily.
I would like to respond to your video, but I felt it was only fair that I messaged you first to apologize personally to you for the rude and harmful way I spoke about you, especially relating to your appearance, because I recognize now that doing so was completely irrelevant to the overarching point I was trying to make. At 17, I had little to no self-awareness as to...
That isn't a thing you can say in a apology. Like, it is fine to say I was a different person back then, but to blame it on who you were, like, especially like, because Kalvin, at the end of the day, you still made content past the point of you making this apology about the same stuff. Like, you have changed. You have changed a lot. I can tell that by the fact you're not like disregarding MBs from existing still. But like, there's a level that you're just not quite getting, and it's kind of annoying, honestly.
how large of a reach and impact my videos could have, but at 20, I have more of that self-awareness, which I hope has been reflected in my more recent videos. If I'm being 100% honest, which I always want to do, I don't entirely disagree with the points about dysphoria that I made in the video, and I'm saying this because I don't want you or anyone else to think I was ever dishonest about what I believe, but I can 100% admit that I was unnecessarily mean to you, and I would never want my actions to result in making someone's eating disorder worse or to incite my audience to be hateful.
Okay. That seems... If that is actually what he sent, I think that's a pretty good apology. I don't know if there's more to it or if he's going to just move on now, but like, what he's just apparently sent is a perfectly okay apology. I'm not going to say that it's a good apology by any means. Like, but it's kind of that idea of the bare minimum. It's what needed to be said. I just hope that Kalvin actually means it.
Do I think the actions of my audience are entirely my fault? No, but I do believe that I should have taken better precautions to ensure you didn't receive harassment. And for that, I really truly am sorry. I don't expect you to accept my apology or have any positive feelings towards me, but my intention in sending this message to you is so that you know you've been heard and that you've been seen. I would like to make a video response to explain my point of view and publicly apologize, as well as ask my audience to apologize in the comments if they ever made any unnecessarily rude comments towards you.
I'm gonna say just involving the fans, involving the comment section. Never a good idea. Just tell them not to do anything. I think that would be most people's response is, no, don't tell your fans to apologize to me. Tell them to leave me alone, because that's always the better thing to do. Like, mob mentality, whether it's positive or negative, or sarcastic or serious, is always bad. Don't tell large groups of people to do the same thing. That's how cults start. But, like, in all seriousness, that is not a good thing to do. Being like, oh yeah, I'll tell my fans to apologise to you is not a good thing to do. Ever. Just don't do it. Not even once.
I want to give you the heads up because I believe you reserve the right to that. Just know that my only reasoning for not writing to you or responding immediately was to allow your words to settle in my mind and to make sure everything I said in regards to your video was fair and took your feelings into account. I do not apologize for things I do not believe warrant an apology, so I hope you can put faith into me to at least know this is genuine. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help give you peace of mind from this point forward. I really do wish you the best in everything you do, and once again, I'm sorry that my video and words affected your mental health in such a significant way. I would never do that intentionally, and I hope that you are able to heal from the damage I have caused.
Yeah, okay. I will once again say that apology, if that is in fact what he put, I think is good enough. It's not great, it's not like perfect by any means, but like, I can definitely tell in those words they're very well chosen. Like, Kalvin clearly either sincerely wanted to apologise about these things or spent a lot of time trying to work out how to sound the best he could. So either way, like, it's a good apology. I don't know whether Brennan was completely like accurate to say that it was a bad apology, because it's not a great apology, but like it works. It is a apology, and like I think that's the key thing to remember is like an apology is still an apology as long as it feels sincere. It's still an apology.
First line of Brennan's response to that is, "This isn't a sufficient apology." I'm gonna put their response on the screen.
So you didn't put yours on the screen, but you'll put Brennan's. I'm so... my brain. I'm not going to read through it. I'm going to assume, for the sake of this response video, of this reaction video, I'm going to assume that what Kalvin is going to say about it is accurate. He's shown it on screen, so I do believe him. I'm not going to read it through right now. I might tweet about it later, because I probably will go back and read it through. But for now, okay, cool, dandy, whatever.
I don't want to read it out loud because I don't want to like misarticulate their words. Like I think my apology is better out loud. Like I like to say it. Like
I just think you should have put it on screen as well. But I mean, whatever. You haven't, so.
wanted to read it out loud because that's genuinely like how I'm speaking. But
I mean, it's fair to be like, yeah, I wrote it how I talk, so I want it to come out loud. But like, still, give us the text itself, give us the actual message, because it's not giving true both sides if you're doing one thing for one and not doing the other thing for the other. It's like, reading them out loud isn't necessary for both. It's more necessary for yours than it is for theirs. But at the end of the day, you should put both on screen. You should show both, because otherwise we only have your word that that's what you put, unless Brennan posts or tweets or puts a video up of your original message, which is unlikely. So it is what it is, I suppose.
Don't want to like read Brennan's for themselves and like make the tone sound different. Just in general, I was not surprised at the response I got, right? Like, again, I didn't expect Brennan to accept my apology at all, but I at least expected them to acknowledge that it was genuine. Like, I didn't say all of those things just because I had to, or just because I wanted to get less backlash. Like, I
think that's a valid thing to want to, like, essentially be validated, that like you were clear in your emotions. But like, I don't know, from how he just read it, I agree that it does sound like it was sincere. But as I keep saying, he doesn't show it on screen, so I don't necessarily trust him wholeheartedly that that is what he put. I'm sorry, but like, you can't expect people to trust what you say is the truth if you're not going to actually prove that that is the truth. We only have your word for it. It's hearsay. We have your word for it and nothing more. You should have shown it on screen.
Genuinely said that, and I didn't post it right off the bat. Like, I didn't even tell people that I apologized, because I really, really, truly meant what I said, and I really, truly meant that message that I sent. I
keep doing that throughout the video. I'm sorry about that. It's because this is liquid lipstick, so it's awkward. I keep having like the corners of my mouth keep getting like really dry. That's the only reason I keep doing that like thing. It's literally just because of that.
Really meant it. And you know, as I said before, the video was already taken down at that point. Just the response I got back and the whole like give me money thing, you know, I want to make it really, really, really clear that when
that was a really weird thing to have happened, like a really weird request. I don't. Both of them in the wrong, really.
When I've said that my videos are demonetized, it's true. Like, I never lied about that. The person who doxed me tried to say I was making 4K a video. Well, if that was the case, I wouldn't be quitting YouTube, that's for sure. But I'm definitely never even making close to 4K a video.
No, you would be, though. It's because you get demonetized. It's because you talk about things that you would be because of the amount of views you get. That's how it works. If you are actually getting monetized, you would be making those sorts of numbers. You can tell that by literally looking at like the Social Blade. The Social Blade gives an estimate of what money would be coming in if everything's monetized, based on your like specific viewing numbers and subscriber counts and stuff. You would probably be making not that much, but like not far off. It's just because you get demonetized a lot, which is why you have your Patreon, which, once again, you link to that in your description for this video. So it might have been taken out by now, but that was in the description when I last checked. So
I would get brand deals and stuff, you know, for $1,000, $1,500, but not on every video. You guys,
they're actually really decent rates. Like, I don't know if he's aware of that, but they're really good rates for what I assume would have been a tops like 2-minute ad spot. Like, most creators get paid a few hundred for that kind of ad spot. So the fact you were getting paid 1,000, 1,500, that's a lot for that kind of sponsorship deal. For that kind of one-time ad placement, that's a lot. That's like, oof, that is a lot of money.
know the videos that I've made where Adam and Eve sponsored me. But the video that I made about Brennan was always demonetized because I used to use At the end of most of my videos, I would use like an outro clip, which I took out now because when I was editing the video to take out the portion about me making out like a fat joke, it wouldn't let me save it without taking out the copyright content. But at the very end of the video, there's a portion of the song Overnight Sensation by Borns, and YouTube copyrighted that. And when YouTube copyrights your video,
they automatically get demonetized because all the money goes towards the copyright holder. If you don't know how that works, basically, say I just randomly decided that I would play, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something that, like, that is at all related. I don't know. Actually, you know what? If I played one of my songs on this video, I only own the rights to a handful of them, so I can only play a handful of them. If I played one of the ones I don't have the rights to, I would get a copyright strike. That copyright strike would make it so that any money that that video does earn, or could have earned for me, would instead go directly to whoever made or owns the rights to that original content. So, if I included Like Home, it's owned by Unilateral, I think, is the company that own that song, technically. They would take all the money from that video if I used Like Home in a video of mine. They take all the money from the like actual upload of that song that I have. So that's how that works. By my music, I legitimately mean like the music that I've written. It's just I don't own all of the instrumentals, which is a long story that I'm not going to get into. That's beside the point anyway. But yeah, no, like copyright does completely remove your monetization. So yeah, they will still be monetized. They'll have ad placements on them, but Kalvin won't have got any of the money for it. Like, so I can believe that to some extent, though. If he's saying that he removed the copyrighted content, that also means that he will have got the monetization back because he'll remove the copyrighted content. That's really interesting, actually. That's a good point. That's weird.
Ads are still played on the video, but you don't receive the profits from that. Like, you can't turn off the ads. Borns made the money from that. And when I was 17 years old when I made the video, I didn't even have an AdSense account. You can't make one till you're 18. Just Brennan asking for money was that shit really pissed me off, if I'm being honest, because if y'all think I am rich from...
It is a terrible thing to ask for, in all fairness.
...from YouTube, you are sadly mistaken.
No, you're rich from Patreon.
I have quite a few things I have to pay for, just like everybody else probably watching this.
Yeah, because you're a normal person. You don't live on the streets. You have rent to pay for. You obviously have like electricity bills and stuff like that. We're not saying you don't have things. You obviously have to buy food as well. Like, we're not saying you don't have things to pay for, but you're able to pay for things that are a higher quality or like more higher prices than what other people can that are in similar positions to you, because you earn a lot from Patreon. A lot of people pay you money. We can see the statistics on Patreon. We know how much you earn.
And the amount of money that I make off of YouTube is enough to sustain and eat and live and have my car and stuff like that, but it's not like I have like a huge amount of money in my savings. I have like $300 in my savings right now. Even if Brennan wanted money from me, I don't have the money to pay you. I really don't. That's me being honest with you. I'm bad at saving, you know, I'll concede that. Like, I was bad at saving while I was a YouTuber and stuff like that, but...
While I was a YouTuber. I know he's done now, for now, but, like, you're still a YouTuber even if, like, you've stopped for now, until you get another job, obviously. But whatever. You can say you're not a YouTuber, that's fine.
It's not like I own a super nice car. I own a really fucked up Hyundai 2010 Sonata.
Don't you talk bad on Hyundai. That's such a weird thing to say.
Not like I go to a school that's $60K a year. I go to a state school, so I don't know what else to say about that. I was never doing these videos for the money. After that, Brennan made like 2 more videos about me, which I have not watched, so I'm not going to speak on them. That's where it is now. I mean, what I said in that apology, it still holds true. And so when I announced that I was going to quit making videos, I made my Brennan video public again after I edited out the part that I thought was just completely uncalled for. And the reason for a day or two that the video was made public again is because I didn't want my words to be twisted. Like, a lot of people will do.
in all fairness, you had also removed part of the reason why people had an issue with you. So, like, I understand, like, oh, I want to make sure that people, like, can't misconstrue what I said in a video, but you removed... the only thing you've said you removed is the, like, fat shaming, basically. But we only have your word for that unless there's probably re-uploads of the original. But, like, at the end of the day, you've got to understand that, like, once again, it's all hearsay. It's all just... We still have to take your word for it because it's not technically the original video. You removed part of it. So... I don't know how I feel about it. It's weird. It's weird. I don't know.
Do this, not everybody, but I've seen it tons of times where people will quote me or say something that I said in a video that I just didn't say.
And that is the gist of why I wanted to actually do the entire video rather than just the sections I want to look at, because I don't want to take them out of context. It means that this video is going to be like 3 hours long, but like I didn't want to take them out of context, and that's something that most people should strive for, to not take people out of context. Even if it's just a clip should be longer than it needs to be because you need to include the full context of what's being said. I don't know why on earth that just happened. I am watching in a window.
And I've seen it from the Brennan video. I've seen it from my videos about Rin. I've seen it from all these videos. My intention in re-uploading that video or deprivating it was not to make money. It was completely demonetized. It was to make sure.
But if you remove the copyright content, it will have been monetized again. I may be wrong, but I believe that's how that works. You remove the copyright content, you get the option to monetize back. So unless you didn't remonetize, which I mean, that's probably what he's meaning. But you did get the monetization rights back. You were allowed to monetize that video again. So I don't know. It's a bit. I don't know how to feel about that.
Sure that anybody who goes to Brennan's channel and watched that video also had the ability to go to my channel and watch the original video to have context. I think that not just from Brennan's video, but literally anybody talking about the video online, there are quite a few people who do make out the content of the video to be 1,000 times worse than it is. And I'm not saying all people, but there are people that do that. My initial thought was that I would make the video public and then my last video would be me deconstructing the video. Like I was going to react to it here and deconstruct the video. And I kind of sat on that idea for a few days. And what really kind of made me think like, you know what, I'm just going to sit down and talk to my camera and have that be it, like I'm doing right now. Just a conversation I had with Riley Grace Rochong. I'm going to tell you guys what we were saying because I think it's a good conversation. I said, just an FYI, I made the video private again. I don't want people to think I'm rescinding my apology or anything, and I think regardless if the video is up or not, I might be taken out of context. Then I was kind of just talking about how some people that I'm friends with on the internet, people that I've met on YouTube, this was another like thing that kind of caused me to spiral and like have a breakdown, was nothing to do with the videos people that don't know about me made, but one of my friends who I met on YouTube and got really close with in real life just sent me this like text, right? And it was so hurtful because it was a text that I felt had no real substance to it. Like it was kind of like this text of like, well, you didn't do anything wrong to me, but I was.
At this point, he's just, because he's not going to, it's right that he doesn't name names, but like, all he's doing right now is whining and acting the victim, which, I mean, fair enough, but, like, also, you're complaining that somebody that you know personally attacked you or whatever over something you legitimately did that was bad. So, I don't know what you're trying to get at, Kalvin, with this point. It seems like just... I say it's playing the victim. That's what it feels like.
Watch these videos about you and my heart's broke. And it was just like, you had 3 years to watch my content. This person that texted me this message was actively in my videos, actively posting content that was the exact same as mine.
Please tell me that this is Blair. Is this Blair that turned against you? Because that would be some hot tea. That'd be insane if that was the case. He's not gonna name names most likely. So it's like, but that's like, that'd be very interesting.
How this person was even openly a conservative.
He's on about Blair. He's legitimately talking about Blair. Oh wow. Oh no. He fell out with Blair. Yeah, Blair has no leg to stand on in terms of like bullying people. Wow, okay, interesting.
And I never, even though I really have never fucked around with conservative views. A lot of times I feel like 90% of Republicans have really bad takes, and I don't fundamentally agree. But even though this person was spreading, all these right-wing beliefs and stuff for a long time, I never denounced her. I never said anything like that to her, because at the end of the day, if I have a friend who's receiving like a fuck ton of backlash. Here's a good example. Blair White. I know a lot of people try to tell me.
Is he not talking about Blair White? It's so... I am struggling to see how he's not talking about Blair in that situation. The fact that he's brought Blair up now, I think is covering his tracks. I'm not going to speculate. I need to not do the drama alert thing. He's not naming names, so we don't know who it is. My headcanon is that it's Blair, but obviously it could not be, and it probably isn't. But that'd just be very interesting if it is. So we'll leave that. We'll continue on and hear what he has to say about Blair.
That I need to apologize for being friends with Blair White, when the reality is, and I know people are going to hate to hear this, I don't agree with a lot of what Blair says, right? Even though I don't agree with a lot of the things she says in her videos, and when the Janae stuff happened, the trans bodybuilder, I didn't like that situation. I did not immediately send Blair a text.
Wow. Not Blair. Kalvin has a pulse, has a conscience. Jeez. That took a while to come out, didn't it?
Being like, my heart's broken, you fucked up, like, you shouldn't have done... No, because this is my friend who's already receiving so much hate that, like, why would I add to that? Why would I add to that for somebody that has consistently been there for me when I was upset? That you guys don't understand behind the scenes. The way people act on YouTube in front of their screen is a very terrible indicator of who they are as a person. That's like what really sent me spiraling, because it's insane to me to see the amount of hate people get who I personally know are good people, who have good intentions and a good heart, and then seeing no hate towards people that I know are bad people in real life. Not to say this person that texted me is a bad person, because she's not, but the text and the posts and stuff just really changed my opinion of her, because it kind of made me think, I'm like, the minute that my content and what I'm saying isn't benefiting you anymore, you turn. Like, when my content, the videos, the exact same videos, because
Kalvin is just playing the victim right now, which is a bad place to be when you're trying to make an apology and taking accountability. Playing the victim is not a smart way to go about it. Like, I understand why he's bringing this up, because he is trying to make this an all-encompassing video, but like, you're not taking accountability by playing the victim, by saying that, saying that, oh, well, I was going through stuff of my own. Yeah, I'm sure you were. That's fine. But that doesn't excuse behaviour. Going through your own shit does not excuse bad behaviour. It's not how it works.
It's not like people are criticizing new videos. They're criticizing videos made 2-3 years ago. And
who else was it who just made points consistently about this was this long ago, this was this long ago, over and over again? There was someone else that did it, that tried to play it off as like non-existent issues. Because I know he's not, but the more and more he goes on about how this was ages ago, the more it's starting to sound like he's trying to be like, this is in the past now, it doesn't matter. It's like, that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
It's like, you had 2 to 3 years to criticize that, basically, to the person you had 2 to 3 years to criticize that, all this time to decide that it was just so bad, but no, you were actively involved in it. You were doing the same exact thing. So it was really hard for me to accept that a lot of people, the minute that you aren't benefiting them online, and for people that really, because my intention was to never do YouTube as a career. I think people always kind of knew this, but it was always inevitable that I was going to stop. You know, I'm in school. I put a lot of work into school. Like, I don't think people understand, like, how much I care about school, how much I love going to school. Like, that's my main priority in life. And I have goals that are so different than what I do on YouTube. Like, people will say Kalvin Garrah will be the worst lawyer in the world. Kalvin Garrah should never work in the law. And I'm just thinking,
based on his understanding of the law, I tend to agree. Not to say that he won't become a really good lawyer, or a decent lawyer at least. Like, he probably will. Like, most people are capable of doing things that far beyond people's expectations, but, like, with how inarticulate Kalvin can be, and with how blatantly wrong he can be about certain laws and certain aspects of law, it is worrying that he could be representing people that actually need representation in a court of law. I don't know, that's just me. I'm not a lawyer by any means. I'm privy to a lot of law just due to my position, just due to my job. But, like, I don't know. Kalvin probably a good lawyer. I just feel for anybody who, like, you know, he's representing.
I'm like, none of you even know what type of law I want to go into. Like, it's irrelevant, but I've said maybe once or twice that my goal is to become a criminal lawyer. One of my biggest goals, and I've done projects, theses, like tons of essays on this stuff, is about my issues with the criminal justice system and racial profiling. Mass incarceration, the prison industrial complex, the death penalty targeting people of color, those are all things that I am actively involved in fighting against and doing research on. So it's just kind of like, y'all hate me so much for the wrong things. If you want to hate on me for videos that I've made that were stupid when I was 17, that really did adversely affect people, that's completely fine and warranted. But when you go out of your way to push back against somebody that wants to actively make a difference in the criminal justice system, and
the thing is, Kalvin, people that are going to hire you, people that are going to, like, whatever law firm you are going to, like, you know, be interviewed for, they're going to search your name, and they're going to find all this horrible stuff that you've done. Like, it's alright saying, oh yeah, it's fine for you to say that I'm a terrible person because I've done these things. At the end of the day, you've done those things. So, it's a weird thing. What he's saying right now is just not, like, it's nonsensical. It really, there's no sense in what he's saying at all.
Racial profiling and police brutality, it's like you're targeting.
By the way, good causes that he's fighting for. Mad respect for those causes. Like, if he does become a lawyer, a practicing lawyer, and he's pushing for all these different things, good on him. Like, honestly, more people need to be like that in terms of, like, pushing for, like, equality and pushing for, like, the rights of people of colour to not be trampled on in courts and the justice system to be reformed. It's great. It's great. But I'm just saying, like, it doesn't really... It goes back to what I'm saying. He's not saying this stuff as part of his apology. He's saying it as excuses to be like, yeah, you can't like say all this bad stuff about me because I do all this good stuff. It's like, that's not how it works, Kalvin. It's just not. It's not how it works at all.
The wrong person in terms of that. You're targeting the wrong person. You want to target somebody, you know, I've met so many people in crim, specifically lower level crim classes, like my freshman year of college, like intro to crim, that wanted to be police officers and just had the absolute worst takes. And I learned so quickly that the amount of work it takes to become a police officer is minuscule. Anyways, I basically said after that, I really just don't want people to think.
And that's why all cops are bastards.
I made the video public with bad intentions. I just see people taking my words out of context, and it's frustrating, but I also don't agree with a lot of fundamental opinions I shared in the video and how I said things so matter-of-factly. I watched it a few times. Riley goes, I 100% get that. Usually the way I deal with people trying to be disingenuous with me is by introspecting a fuck ton and making sure to the best of my ability whether my actions and beliefs are reasonable and justifiable, which I think is a great take on just life in general. The way, even if a bunch of people criticize me for a position, I can defend it because I've genuinely thought through the criticisms and taken them to heart and still come out believing what I do. I go, yeah, I mean, I can still assert to people over and over that I wanted people to be able to go back and watch the video for themselves to decide whether or not all this uproar is warranted or not. But I think regardless, people will say I did it out of spite. So I'm going to take your advice and take a step back from it all and take the high road because I really don't want Brennan to get more harassment. And even if that opens the door to harassment towards me, I think right now it's justified because Brennan is a more vulnerable person and has been through enough. And, that's just basically where I stand and why I re-privated the video. Because I don't want people to think I had bad intentions and I don't want Brennan to get more harassment.
The wording, putting out into the world that you think someone is I know this is paraphrasing myself, but it's too delicate to take the criticism, whereas you can take it because you're strong. That's basically what you're saying, and I don't think that's a good thing to be putting on the internet. Not an apology. I don't know, Kalvin. I don't know if you're really doing the best job you could be doing right now. Oh, I'm not feeling this apology anymore. This is not sounding good.
Really, really, really don't want him to get more harassment. And what I've kind of realized at the end of the day through all of this is that no matter what I say or what I do, there's a large group of people that will just never think it's enough.
Guilty. Wait, no, it's legitimately, you need to act upon what you're saying. You can't just make a video being yeah, I'm taking accountability and I apologize. If it goes nowhere, it needs to go somewhere at the end of the day. You can't just say these things and hope that it all works out.
I can apologize a million times. I could delete my videos. I could apologize publicly for everything I've done that people criticize me about, and it still wouldn't be enough. There would still be something new that I had to do to prove that I'm sorry. I don't need those people to prove to myself or prove to the average level-headed person that I feel bad for anything, the things that I've done. Everything I said to Brennan, I genuinely feel bad for, and I feel sorry for, and that's why I said it.
And generally, I do think that Kalvin is being sincere here, but it's just, as he just said, I don't think it's necessarily enough. I think that's the be-all end-all. It's not necessarily enough.
That's why I said it, because I would never want to make someone's eating disorder worse. I would never want somebody to feel as though they can't make videos, because for a long time I loved making videos, and even though for myself I can deal with a lot of hate, I can keep making videos even if I'm getting the amount of hate I get right now. Some people can't do that, and a lot of people are way more vulnerable to harassment and stuff, and so I guess I never took that into account, and I never took into account the scope of my videos back then, and so there's not really anything I can do, and so I feel the best thing to do is to just take a step back and let the people who were adversely affected by my videos heal from that and take my own time to reevaluate what I believe in an honest way. There's a couple other things that people will bring up when they're criticizing me. One of them is a video I made with Blair White where we reacted to Milo Stort's TikTok. There's a lot of personal circumstances as to why that video was even uploaded, and I think that if I did go into those circumstances, I would just be accused of playing the victim, right?
I mean, you've been doing that most of the time anyway, so I don't really see the issue.
But all I'm gonna say in regards to that is I did delete the video less than 24 hours after it was posted, because I edited that video a month or two before I posted it, and in that
time you never thought it was a bad idea. Oh, that says a lot about you, Kalvin. That really does.
Time before I posted it, I had made a video called My Opinions Have Changed, which you can watch, and that's a pretty good video about where I'm at now.
Yeah, to be fair, it's not a great video, but I mean, it's probably actually better than this one, I'll be honest.
where I was at that time, which is recently, in terms of my beliefs and stuff. I used to do this, especially towards like the end of me making videos, which is I would edit something and then I would just set it up for pre-upload on my channel for a date. And that's what I did with my Milo video. I edited it like way before I posted it. You can see with like the length of my hair. And so at the time, what I can say is I was not making good choices and I was not paying attention to my YouTube channel at all. Let's just say that. I did not remember that the video was going to upload. And if I had been making better personal choices and if I had been monitoring my channel with a clear mind, it wouldn't have been uploaded at all. That video, you know, people are going to bring it up, but I just want to make it really clear that I took that down because I watched it and I'm like, what was the point of this? There's no...
I'm going to call bullshit on him saying how he wasn't paying enough attention to realize they had that video going up, because he uploaded videos between uploading and scheduling that one and it going up. And little known fact about how YouTube Studio works, if you have something scheduled and it's basically, if you have things scheduled, whatever is scheduled for the furthest away time, so say I schedule something for March and say I schedule something for February, the thing that's March will be top of the list for your uploads. That's just how it works. So not noticing, which is what's apparently happened, is so blind that it messes with me. Like, I assume Kalvin doesn't have an editor or someone who uploads the videos for him. I assume he does everything himself. So how do you miss that a video that you don't agree with is going up? Like, how does it happen? How does that happen? Like, honestly. I can forget what videos I have scheduled, but I know that I have a video scheduled. And it's so... Because he would have known he had a video scheduled, and when he did his video saying that his opinions had changed, surely he would have looked at his scheduled videos to be like, do any of these not go with what I've just said? I don't know. This is just a very weird point to make.
Point of this isn't actively talking about a prominent issue that I want to bring attention to or that I want to give my opinion on. It's just like cringe content. So that's why I deleted that. The last thing I want to talk about is people bringing up when it was going around that somebody had tried to commit suicide from a video that I did about them. Now, when this first happened, I made a video, and I'm going to link it below, discussing the situation. So I was really confused as to why that got...
Sorry, he didn't even apologize for making that video about Milo. He kind of just said, oh yeah, no, I just didn't realize I was doing it. And then just left it, and then just said, oh yeah, I deleted it because I realized it was trash. Excuse me? So he's not taking accountability for that at all. He just isn't. He's barely taking accountability for the whole Brennan situation, in all fairness. Like, he's apologised, but he's not really taking accountability for it. He's kind of just victim blamed. Not victim blamed. He's painted himself as a victim. What are you doing, Kalvin?
Brought back up because I thought that it had been dealt with. I've been thinking about this, and I used to be really, really on the defense with it because there was no real proof, right, of this even happening. It was like I posted the video, and then a couple hours later, an anonymous page started posting saying that the person had tried to kill themselves, but they were fine, and it was right after the video was uploaded. And so at the time, I was really, really, really overly annoyed because I was just like, this is made up, there's no proof of this, why are people saying this? And so I took down the video and I made that video where I talked about suicide. Ever since that has happened, there have been so many fake things spread. One being that somebody actually died, somebody actually killed themselves, which that did not happen. That blatant...
As far as you know. That's literally just, you don't know for sure. That's not, a fact.
did not happen. I want to make that very clear that that did not happen. And number two, that it was a kid, or that it was like a kid that had tried to kill themselves, but the person in the video that I reacted to was like in their late 20s, so it was not a kid. But
that does not make it any better though. Just because it wasn't a kid doesn't make it any better.
But that day that it had happened, I was at Chipotle with my friend, and he was making a lot of, I had like vented to him about the situation. He was making a lot of jokes, and either on my story, on his story, we had like just posted some stupid video. You know, I wasn't the one laughing in the video. It was more like him, you know.
It was more like him is not a sentence you want to make when you're saying, I wasn't laughing about suicide. Like, that's not a sentence you want to say. Like, okay.
Just making a joke out of like the situation. Obviously that was just stupid, because regardless, and I think of this now, you know, like back then I wouldn't have like been able to say this, or like I wouldn't have had this perspective, but I've thought about it a lot. It really doesn't matter if it happened or not, right? Like, people were saying, oh, well, Kalvin, like, saying, oh, that didn't happen, there's no proof, is the same as, like, saying someone who allegedly got raped, you know, not believing victims. And why?
It is comparable. It's not the same thing, but, like, they are the same both start and end points. Something tragic or disgusting or vile or whatever word you want to use for it happens, and then you say that, oh, there's no actual proof, so it didn't happen. They're both the same thing. So yeah, if you're saying, oh no, that didn't happen because there's no proof, it is the same sort of thing as people saying that someone wasn't raped because there's no proof.
I think that's true to an extent. It is a big allegation to make against somebody that they caused somebody to try and commit suicide. Like that, without any proof, that's just a huge allegation to make against somebody. You can believe that somebody tried to commit suicide without proof, but to then blame somebody else and to say without a doubt this was their fault is like a huge allegation to make against somebody. Same with like sexual assault, which I've never been accused of sexual assault because I'm not a shit person, but
Thanks for the clarification, Kalvin. Thank you for that one.
it's one thing to believe a rape victim, but then to try and actively spread that somebody is a rapist without any proof to back up that claim is
It's what I call the Keemstar effect.
irresponsible. But what I've realized now, it's not really about the event itself, right? Like, it's not really about that. It's about the fact that in general, we are making light of a situation that happens all the time. People do try to commit suicide like all the time. And so to laugh about suicide in any way, shape, or form, regardless if there's proof of it happening in a specific situation, like that day, I'm sure somebody completely unrelated committed suicide. And so just joking about that is not funny and it's not appropriate. And so regardless, if somebody did try to kill themselves because of my video, I shouldn't have even made a joke about suicide. Like, I don't think I've ever really made a joke about suicide in my videos because I've never really thought it was funny. So I don't really know why I posted that video of him laughing to my story or why he posted it. I can't remember if it was on my story or his. But yeah, that was just a bad take. But I really don't want people to think that I egged someone on to commit suicide. I've never done that. I would never do that. I've never in my life ever looked at someone and said, kill yourself, or like, you should just kill yourself. You're not trans. I've never ever said that. You know, I said this in my suicide response video where I talk about it. But on one hand, yes, I understand where bullying and, you know, harassment can be a contributing factor.
It often is, unfortunately. It's just the case that it often is a major factor is bullying, online harassment, or in real life harassment as well. Just suicide's a very serious topic. I do this every time I even mention suicide, but like link in the description, or not link in the description, but in the description are the suicide prevention hotlines for various countries. I normally do a few major EU countries, America and Japan, just because a lot of people that are English speaking from those areas. But like, yeah, it's a difficult thing to discuss, and I'm glad that he's accepting that, yeah, no, it was wrong for him to be making jokes or making light of a situation like that. But he's also underplaying what kind of damage that can do. It's a difficult thing to talk about, and he's not delicate in this video. In his suicide video, in the video they made about it, I will admit he did a decent job. But in this video, he's not doing very well right now. Like, he's really doing a bad job.
To wanting to take your own life, or to wanting to hurt yourself, or just anything in general. Like, that can be a contributing factor. But you really, and this comes from personal experience, not of suicide, but of other things, other forms of drugs, self-harm. You can't blame anybody else for your own negative actions towards yourself. I still think that holds true. I've had my own issues before. I don't like to talk about it because I don't want to share too much private info, but I've struggled with substance abuse issues, and there's a ton of people that I could sit here and say were directly contributing to that becoming a problem in my life, but at the end of the day, I chose to engage in those activities and do those things, so I don't blame anybody. But the criticisms of me just in general, joking about suicide in general, are completely valid. And if you saw that and you've tried to commit suicide before and you were hurt by that, or you felt I was making fun of you indirectly or something that you had been through, I'm sorry. I would literally never do that. I've known way too many friends that tried to commit suicide or landed in a mental hospital for me to even do that in a malicious way. So I am sorry if that affected you in an adverse way. That would never, ever, ever be my intention. So yes, I think those are all the main things I wanted to touch on in this video. I want to say to those of you who have supported me and watched my videos and been a fan of me for however long you have, I really, really appreciate it. I hope that I've influenced you in some good way. I hope that the biggest thing you've taken from my videos is never shy away from what you think or what you believe in, even if it's an unpopular opinion. And that goes for literally anybody. If you really truly believe in something, do your research, talk about it, spread your ideas to other people, because I guarantee that there are people who can relate to you. And the one thing that makes me kind of sad about quitting making videos is, more specifically, I know there's a lot of trans guys out there who really like my videos and can really relate to me, especially the ones that aren't even opinionated, just trans.
Okay, so that's the end of his apology anyway. This is just his final words, as he puts it in the title. Yeah, no, he hasn't. He's barely taken accountability, and he's barely actually apologized for most of the stuff that he's done. Some of it was just barely touched upon. The only real thing that he's mentioned in detail is the Brennan situation, and even then, he's said the right things, but I don't think it's quite there. I don't think he's quite done what he needed to. This is difficult, because I can tell there is sincerity in what he's saying, but there's also a lot of playing the victim. There's also a lot of just complete non sequiturs into anecdotal references and information as to why he's done certain things, which isn't taking accountability. That's just making excuses. So I doubt he's going to say anything of interest further, but we'll watch it through. We'll see what his final words actually are, and I'll continue making any judgments as I see fit.
Videos. And those are videos that I may continue to make sooner rather than later. When it
Are you quitting YouTube, or are you not quitting YouTube? Make your mind up, Kalvin.
comes to bottom surgery updates, when it comes to just anything talking about my experience as a trans guy.
I think it's valid that he should be able to keep talking about his trans experience. That's perfectly fine. Power to him. If he wants to talk about it, that's his choice. He can continue doing that. And, if it helps other trans people, perfect, great. If it doesn't, he's shouting to avoid, so what does it matter?
Soon, in the next week or two, I want to keep posting on my Patreon. I kind of took a hiatus on there, but I do like.
So that's why the Patreon is linked, because he still wants people to pay for his content, he just doesn't want to make it. Interesting.
The community I have on there, and there are things I want to talk about, but I just don't want to do it in this like grand YouTube scope, because
you want people to pay you to put your trash opinions online. That's what it sounds like right now, Kalvin. Please tell me I'm wrong.
I do think that there are a lot of irresponsible members of my audience who witch hunt people. Not to say that's all of you, and to those of you who don't do that, I really, really appreciate you, and I hope that you have enjoyed my content. I've never been about witch hunting people. I've never been about sending hatred or inciting harassment towards people that I talk about in my videos, and unfortunately, a lot of people have take my videos and, you know, even if I mentioned not to harass people, it happens anyways, and part of that is on me. You know, part of that is on me not...
There is a level of not being able to control your audience, but yes, you are responsible for what your audience does. That is perfectly valid, and I think more people should realize that.
Not always doing my due diligence to blur people's faces out or blur their usernames out, and that's my own mistake. I tried to do that more recently, but in my first videos, you know, I was really bad about doing that. So I think that it's best for me to take a step back for a while and just kind of like live my life like in the real world and focus on school and do that kind of stuff. I'm gonna like work regularly. I want some just like regular job experience, to be honest with you. I'll be done with undergrad in the next like 2 years, possibly less than that depending if I take some like summer winter classes. And so as soon as I get my bachelor's degree, you know, I'm just immediately going to go into the criminal justice law field, and when that happened anyways, which isn't that long from now, I would have had to stop making videos. I've been thinking about doing like true crime content on a different channel, or like a true crime podcast, like a pre-law perspective type of like true crime content. So if you'd be interested in that, let me know, and just make sure you follow me on like my second Instagram, Kaleblaze, Kaleblaze. That's where I'm going to be posting. And you know, my Patreon, like I said, it's only $3 a month, so if you want to support me in that way, you know, if you're a fan and you want to keep seeing content, I will probably be posting on there pretty soon, and if I don't, I'll update you guys.
So this is my final words. This is I'm moving away from this channel because I'm too scared of the backlash. Please help me grow my community in other places. That's basically what this has become. Kalvin, what the hell is this video?
It's not if I decide to not do it, but I am going to probably post on there. But yeah, this is goodbye for now. I hope that people can see that I'm being sincere here. I really have nothing to gain from apologizing for...
Oh, yes, you do. You have a lot to gain. You can easily apologize, and if people accept your apology now, you will come back with a lot better starting point than you would if you just didn't apologize. Like, you have a lot to gain, including that your fans, which you have a lot of, are going to all go on your Patreon so that they can see your content still. That's what you've just said. So you have a lot to gain. You have money to gain from Patreon. You have all this other stuff to gain in terms of just you will be respected more because of this video. So, no, I'm calling BS on that. You've got a lot to gain by making this video, and you will gain it because a lot of people are going to look at this and just see the sincerity and ignore all the other bits. This is terrible.
For something that I don't feel bad for when I'm going to quit the internet anyways. You know, like I said, I got doxxed this week. I've had so many people just like talking about me and commenting, like just like spamming the fuck out of me everywhere. So by making this, I'm just opening myself up to more of that. So it would be easier for me to just not make this video, but I feel like it's only right to do that and to publicly say something about everything that's going on, because I feel like at least my supporters and those who were affected by things I've said in the past deserve that, like, more than anyone. So yes, thank you for watching. Like I said, I will keep you guys updated. I'm not gonna go forever, you know. I do want to like use my channel, but for now I'm gonna take a break. So thank you for watching. I love your face, and I will see you guys later. Peace.
Well, that was definitely a video. I I don't think it's worth me doing a full recap of my thoughts. I've made it pretty clear throughout this video, so if you've made it this far, you probably have a good idea. But I don't think this is a worthwhile response. I don't think he's took responsibility or taking accountability. I don't think he's successfully done that at all in this video. Nor do I think that his apologies are actually sincere, like fully. He's taken a lot of the blame for things that his fans have done, which is appreciated. He's also very much said that he wants to change from who he was when he made the other content. Fair enough. He's made a lot of excuses, however, which is not the way to go about something like this. And he's also played the "this was in the past" card a lot. It's very difficult to take him seriously. I mean, hopefully, we'll look at this in the future and, you know, he'll actually stick to what he said. But I can't help but look at this and just see somebody saying, I've had enough of all the drama, here's a clean slate, basically. I'm going to come back in a bit, but if you want to see me, pay me. And that's it. I'm not misconstruing what he's saying. You've seen the full video. That is what he is basically doing. So yeah, that's Kalvin Garrah's taking accountability and final words. I'd say I'm surprised with how this went, but this is exactly what I expected from Kalvin. Can't wait for Blair White to do the exact same thing in a week, but yeah, no. As I said before, there'll be in the description the numbers for all the suicide hotlines from like major countries. I'm sorry that I can't just list everything, but there's a lot of countries in the world with a lot of hotline numbers. If you're feeling down or if you're having suicidal thoughts or depressive thoughts or anything like that, please either talk to somebody or call those hotlines. You know, you're loved, all that jazz. But otherwise, if you want to watch the full video, basically again, without me pausing it, it will be in the description below, as well as, actually that'll be it. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, type playing card, 2 words, playing card, in the description, in the comments section, and otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
It's been a long week. I feel like I could use a vacation. I can hardly think. It's like the worst song you've